You know, I find myself in a particularly good mood this evening, and I've made videos most of the day, but I realize that there's still sad stuff going on. And we're going to talk about a phenomenon of really successful people being really unhappy. That's the analysis that we're going to be kind of conducting this evening. We're going to relate it in relation to this one video I just watched. I think I'll do some React content, but the video subject is XQC. He is a very famous live streamer, gamer guy who's also just, he tends to have controversy surrounding him. Now, I don't know much about XQC. Genuinely, I don't. But I will say that I do recall an interaction with him way back in the day when I played a very small game called Darwin Project. It's a silly game. It's a battle royale that takes place in the snow with bow and arrows. It was a fun little concept. I was good at it. He was much better. But I do remember the one time that I ever met him in game, I did happen to kill him. He was a little upset, understandably so. This was kind of, I think, when I think back in the context of what we're going to talk about, I have to think about what he was going through in his day-to-day chats, right? He was just, you know, he was shit talking. Like, it's a video game, it's banter, it's fun. I think that's the thing that maybe when this moment happened, because of course I went and watched his stream when I killed him. Sorry, dude. Wasn't stream sniping, of course. It was just two competitors trying to win the game. But there's a little bit of moment after in this particular game when you could use voice chat. So I probably say, I don't know. I would never find this clip again. It'd be impossible. But anyway, you know what I mean? It's just one of those moments when some people were probably preying on him, honestly. But I'm going to watch this small end clip, and I kind of want to reflect on it. And, well, we'll talk about it.
You know, sometimes you have like these big goals that you think are gonna make you happy. Like, oh, once this happens, I'll be happy. That is really unhealthy. These happiness milestones actually don't work. Suddenly I realized that you have to be happy now. And to stop seeing that wall as like, oh, I'll be happy once I get there. Because that wall might just keep going backwards. It might just run away from you. It might feel hollow.
If in life you always show up and you get a participation ticket every day, at some point you'll hit the juice. Even if you show up and you don't get it 100 times in a row, maybe at some point you'll get it. I believe in yourself and what you do.
Work hard and it's all gonna pan out in the end. So back in the days, I'll be really happy when I'm in the watch league. I'll be really happy when I get like 10k subs. I'll be really happy when I get this. I'll be happy when I get that. And I got past those and I was like, I'll be happy then. I'll be happy then. I'll be happy then. And I got this side of that wall and I wasn't happy. And I got over another wall and I wasn't happy. I thought happiness is on the other side of the wall. But I realized that happiness is here now. If you're not happy with what you have now, you're not gonna be happy with whatever you have then. That's tough.
There you go. That's tough. I mean, well spoken, right? So to kind of put it in context, who knows when this particular clip happened? I'm really going to be talking about not the man, but more the phenomenon of what is he talking about? He's talking about seeking and not finding this thing called happiness, no matter how he was seeking it. You know, he set goals for himself. He was kind of a breakout person in this streaming space, and he was a very competitive player as well. He's just one of these people who has raw talent. He's also funny to watch. I mean, people think what they think about him, but there's no way he's not funny or entertaining to watch. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the biggest or one of the biggest. Even these days, I don't really know, but I do know XQC because even back then, this must have been forever ago, 8 or so years ago. I don't know. You know what I mean? And he was big then. You know, it's impossible to really understand kind of what these few dots that kind of populate social media. There are some, like, you know, titans out there, and, you know, XQC is definitely one of them. He's basically as close to a celebrity as you can get without actually starring, you know, being Brad Pitt, right? If like the peak of society is Brad Pitt, I mean, I kind of use that like colloquially, but it's not necessarily who the peak of society is. But, like, you know what I mean? He just woke up and decided, I'm going to be a movie star. I mean, who's more shiny than that? But anyway, I keep referring to this concept, and I haven't used it as much lately. So I kind of want to put a little clarity on that. He is the Brad Pitt of streaming. You know, I mean, there's no other way to really put it. But along with Brad Pitt, once you're so popular that you make it mainstream, your life starts to change in some ways that aren't really on the label. You know what I mean? And we have to accept these things as reality. People are going to pay an excessive amount of time to you. You're going to have stalkers. You're going to have to live in a place that maybe you don't even prefer. He talks about that in this video too. I'm not going to watch the whole video because this isn't like early YouTube where we're still trying to figure out what fair use is. But I'm just going to kind of ramble for the rest of the time. You don't need to hear all that other stuff. If you're really interested, I'll link the video here that I watched and then decided to make this video. Some of that, hopefully, I don't know. I really need to edit these videos. I understand. Like, I'm really bad at this. Maybe this gentleman could make a fucking video of my thoughts. Who knows? But anyway, Anyway, so what is XQC going through here? He's trying to figure out how to live like Brad Pitt all of a sudden. Like, what the fuck happened? He got on and played some video games, and now he's... I don't know all the shit that has gone on. You know, a lot of drama has followed him throughout his life. Again, he has his relationships open and on camera. They probably played the game together. He probably get in an argument. You probably do some of it on stream. Nobody should be into that level of looking at somebody's life, right? We all deserve that smaller group of people who know us truly. You know what I mean? I feel like it would be, you just want certain things privately, of course. That goes without saying, I think. So he kind of is losing grip on this. It's just not even an option. Like, what can he do? He either gives up his source of income, which, again, this is a decision. Many people do this, by the way. Once you make it to a certain level of, I suppose, notoriety, but also wealth, you can also decide to maybe try and just get out of the public eye as much as possible. It's kind of a phenomenon that does also happen. And I think that they tend to be happier when that's how they're living, to be unknown and wealthy. I think that's kind of, for some people, the goal, and the people that are smart enough to get there without any of this nonsense are probably better off. You know what I mean? I'm envious a little bit. And I think certain performers are as well. Like, why the need to perform? Why, it's like weird. To think about, but anyway, it is I think just a phenomenon that exists. I won't say much more about it right now, but like XQC doesn't ever take this route. He's still, I think, doing this every day, right? Even though it might, because I think for him it's just the thing that's fun, and you want to do that more than anything. He kind of talks about once he's like big but not the biggest, or like when it was there is a time, I think, that I've watched a few streamers do this. There's a YouTuber, Aaron Plays TV. I played games with him back in the day. Not very many because he was Australian and the ping is horrible, or wherever he was. I think he's British actually. But I'm moving on. Like, I knew he was from overseas. We didn't play that many games. But anyway, I've just seen some of these guys become huge over the years, even though we kind of started in the same place. Tofu, like, because I just know DBD guys. It's kind of like, and they probably don't even know. They wouldn't know who it was. Maybe they would. But the point is, like, I never used this name at that time. So anyway, moving on. But it's interesting to see, how some of their lives have changed and how they've chosen to just keep pursuing it. And I think the reason why they keep pursuing it is one, their livelihood is, depending on their size. A lot of these guys, if they were smart with their money, I already know they could have done. I know they're done. You know what I mean? Retirement is feasible. That's what I mean. And that's why there's certain other people that also seem to go off the spectrum. Some of my other creators that I like are like Nakey Jakey. There's been times when you get a 1 a year, bro. You get 1 this year. And it'll be good, but you get 1. You'll be fuck, damn, son. You almost feel like, that's their job, man. What are we paying you all this money and attention for? It's like an interesting, it's just weird, right? We don't know these people. Parasociability is a whole conversation. As a guy with no friends, I've done my best to prevent as much of it as possible. But you can see, I still do watch. I scroll on TikTok, bro. If Asmongold pops up, if he's saying some crazy shit, I'm going to probably watch it anyway. And I'll naturally form an opinion about the greater context of the people out there without ever going and clicking on that person's stream and watching for 8 hours. Dude, no fucking way. But if they popped up, I would, I kind of know a lot of the names that are in that particular space because I'm interested in that space, but I'm a little freaked out to like talk to those people. Like, you know what I mean? Is that a weird thing to say? I would be like off put to talk to them. I feel like, because it's really weird. Like, dude, you're the guy who had no friends for all those times and says crazy things online. Like, what would you guys call me? You know what I mean? I haven't even said anything. Again, we'll do it in the middle of the video. My name is Caleb. I don't know if we're just going to leave it at that for now. I'm still like, you know what I mean? I still got just my toes in the water, basically. which is really weird. I fucking respect all the people who are like firstnamelastname.com. I'm like, fuck, man, that's crazy. But, you know what I mean? Eventually that might be necessary. You know what I mean? And that's something that XQC went through, is that idea of, I am famous now. What do I do about it? Life sucks a little bit more than I thought it would because of it. What am I going to do about it? You know, you have to keep trying to find out, like, okay, and even this, let's just say this is the game that XQC also had to play. I don't know him. I don't know his intentions. I don't know why, you know, maybe this is just really fun. That's kind of where, if I try and put it in that logical box we talked about, I'm going to guess he just finds this lifestyle pretty fun, and that the idea of going incognito is less fun in his mind than it is. He might go and try it and then resurface every few years if he still feels that it's fun to keep doing it. But at the same time, it's a pretty, you know, as long as once you have his level of money, you can start to simplify the situation a bit more than probably when he was still in the middle, you know, where like lawsuits or like, you know, but I mean, I'm sure he's gone through a lawsuit or two too. These are like horrible fucking real things. Like, why the fuck? He probably really didn't mean it. I don't know. He just talks. You have to understand this about him. I don't know what he says. I'm just looking at the human who's saying the stuff in some of these videos in this particular thing that I watch. I'm like, man, he's hurting. You know, he can't live with maybe his family is rejecting him somehow. You know, maybe he can't live in the city that he wants to live in. His relationship is like, you know, horrible. Probably dating would be horrible. You know, if people see you as a object of status or power or money or anything other than he's really funny and handsome and I want to have sex with him, if it's not that, then it's not worth doing. You know what I mean? That's how I think about this. So we'll just move on to the next topic. But like, if it isn't fucking for me or you and mutual, then fuck that. You know what I mean? That's pretty simple. But the problem is it's so hard to know a person's true intentions, right? XQC, there's no way. He's got however many thousand people watching a day. And, you know, if ever he goes up to somebody and asks to introduce himself and say, hey, my name is Miles Davis. And they're like, oh, very nice to meet you, man. Where you work? If they don't say that to you, if they know who you are, like, you'll never know that person's true intentions, right? Ever. You'll never know. I feel like they have to come up in the mud with you in a weird way. I don't even know how to describe it, but I think you kind of know what I mean. Is he's getting used by people in his life. He talks about this too, even amongst family. You know, there was going through a time where he thought he was going to die, even though he seems healthy. He's just feeling like he's going to die. I don't know if he's doing drugs and he's thinking he's going to, I don't know why are you writing your will? I don't know. I haven't considered writing it really yet. So don't kill me yet, because you don't know. Otherwise it's going all to charity. It's going to charity. This is my disclaimer. I don't know. But the point is somebody might start wanting more from you once you have more to give. This is another kind of phenomenon that we talked about, adjacent to the idea of selfishness and trying to provide for yourself first and foremost. But once you meet that minimum standard that most people say, like, yep, if you had, you know, if you're still working for this much money, then keep on working for it, brother, and you deserve it. But once you're like, yo, you have how much money? Where is it? Give me some. You know, remember that time? Like, whatever, right? This is the type of shit that really, unfortunately, will happen with people. This is just how it is. Especially when you're at a level like this. You know, leeches come out to fucking suck. You know, it just is what it is. And I have no reason for anybody to feel that that's not going to happen in my life at all, I think. But my point is that that's a real thing that most of you haven't considered. Like, what would it really do to you to never trust somebody? If you're just soul is so generous and people's motivations are so good, yes, it's kind of like a beautiful idea of like the generous, you know, of Oprah Winfrey, right? You know, but enough said, right? I mean, anyway, we'll move on to more conversation topics. Let me just take a brief pause. Please, give me 1 second. Good morning, Vietnam. All right, we're back here with you live on the topic of, really rich and famous people and why are they such bums and unhappy twerps. We're talking about this phenomenon, right? So what's another thing that gets dragged through the mud when you suddenly become famous? Not just, people wanting money from you, but let's say that you finally think, this person here I trust to love. Oh boy, now what? Did you pick right, son? That's the obviously we haven't talked about it much yet since I've gone like to face, but this is like the fucking trickiest part of life. This is like, and he sticks the landing. You know what I mean? Yo, he's got the career. He's got the. His girlfriend cheats on him. You know what I mean? Yep. Oh, buddy, that's tough. You know what I mean? There's so many ways that this thing can go down for like normal people. And when it becomes the subject of public scandal, that is gotta be fucking top. That's gotta be up there in terms of really bad shit that can happen to your mental health. You know, having everybody, I don't know, see your dick or you know whatever horrible things have probably happened with these people, right? The sex tapes and the scandal and the amount of eyes that will find itself onto the scandal. You know, if I slip a nip right now, you know what I mean? Like, it would be awkward. Like, you don't get me wrong, but the point is like these guys actually have to live through that. So I always have a little bit of consideration for it, but the idea is also like, but they chose that, you know, by being famous. Well, did he? I don't know. Like, he just wanted to compete in these games. I think genuinely. Remember when I actually met him, we were just two competitors playing the game, you know. And I think they did like a streamer tournament, and I think he like placed very highly or possibly won. I don't remember. He's won many tournaments. He's actually like a world-class competitor in this game. Now, think what you fucking will about the category of esports, but like you can't beat him. Then fucking buy a ticket or shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? People do want to show up and see these guys do, you know, the things that they're doing in these games. I don't know, like I like it, but you know, anyway, I'm just saying that it's entertainment now, and it's a business, frankly, and what sells. You know, I still more or less, you know, again, one thing I haven't talked a lot about is like political affiliation or anything like that, and I'm still not really gonna, but like. You know, the idea of capitalism, I still think's the better idea. You know what I mean? I'm certainly no commie. You know what I'm saying, brother? Cool, Uncle Sam? We still got it, bro. Like, I'm still with you on all that jazz. But the point is once you start operating at some of these levels, if you happen to find yourself in these spaces, for whatever reason you happen to find yourself there, you have to just play the game the way it's meant to be played. And this is kind of sickening sometimes. You know what I mean? You know, like I might teach like how to, you know, why would you choose a 0% 12-month APR as long as you know that you'll pay, if you can pay $4,000 in a year versus today, that as long as you always know that that $4,000 was going to be invested the whole time, you're going to have a better expected value, right? If I want to talk to you about something logical like that, even though again, there's other factors to consider, but you know, personally, I chose to finance some larger items recently because I can pay them off with cash, you know, in a year's time. You know, it's a very simple way to, you know, optimize in your life. And we're not going to really get into details. But like once you are XQC and your net worth balance, like if you just do it all the right exact way, and I think he does, like I'm pretty sure he pays his taxes. Hopefully he did. Maybe that was part of scandal too. You know, they had to drag him out of there. Give me that money. You know, whatever, right? If that's what happened, who even care? I don't know what he's actually gone through is my point as well. Like, who knows? But I do think that everybody deserves a little bit of consideration. That's all, basically. You know, I would be a fucking great person to have in the jury. I'll never work jury duty. I will never work jury duty again. I'm telling you. No, I'm just joking. I'm just fucking around. But like, I would definitely evaluate the situation as best I could. And, you know, I guess I'm a little more forgiving than other people. But I feel like I'd be fair. Absolutely. Sorry, we're getting distracted now. But yeah, I like consider what he actually has to go through with regards to these things. I do think a lot of people won't give up the fame. I think that there must be something addictive about it. Frankly, I mean, it depends on what they're chasing. I think there's certain actors. I was watching some video recently. I think it was Matt Damon. Damn it. It was Matt Damon. But unfortunately, I like Matt Damon a whole lot. And even though he wrote that movie just to jerk himself off every time he watches it, you know, I loved it. Well, Good Will Hunting is what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, Matt. It's so good, though. But it's because he's so smart. And he loves the work. You know, He loves the work, and he has always loved it. He's always pursued it. The best part of Good Will Hunting, and that's the part that he got right, is nothing but books in that guy's house. Before he came out and was with the guys all day, he was in the house reading books. That's why, I mean, there's other things, you have to be talented in other special ways to be the character in that movie, but he just applies himself all day. And that's what Matt does. It's exactly what Matt Damon does, bro. He's not working for anything like economic, reward or anything like that. If he wants to be Matt Damon, he wants to be in front of as many eyes as possible and perform these roles and give these performances that he feels is his legacy, probably. You know what I mean? Or even if it's not, it's just his passion. It's just his absolute life's ambition to be in this space, creating and telling these stories. I just think that's how he feels. Like, it just lights him up. And so once you get to that level, you have to play the game that involves it, So if you want to be the world's biggest mega superstar, you sometimes might need to live like him, although I don't think he really does that, But my point is, you got to do the taxes and all that other bullshit, right? You got to play the game. You have to scale up your mind to accept the new rules of the game. So try and think about that as a form of empathy too. You can literally expand the way that you think and consider, how do I assume this person's point of view, and understand what look like the routes that align to my objectives. If you do that, you will see, were they making good decisions? But you also kind of have to know, what did they really want? And I think that's kind of why some people think that a route that somebody chose was so inferior to what they could have done, or whatever you think, right? You don't know what they were considering as their primary motive, and to what level they were being pulled towards all these things. This is like particularly bad when it comes to like impulsivity. Some of that if you really expand that concept out, huge. If we talk about a scandal, this is when somebody's impulsivity is overruling, any of these other functions that we should in fact strive to give them a lot of credit. We need to be virtuous. I do believe that, absolutely. You need to try and stay within those lines, but still really pushing for the thing that gives you the most ambition. But sometimes you can get so drawn in by some of these other things that, we can talk about any of them, a certain love, an addiction, whatever. There's so many things that you could talk about, I think most of them go without saying. Sex, drugs, and alcohol, I guess, right? That's what's going to get you fucked up for the most part. But anyway. But mostly, if you're getting pulled towards that good stuff, especially if you lean into creativity, creation, human connection, engagement with your community, I think this is when you're going to find a lot of fulfillment in your life. And I really feel like that this is like a secret hack, is if you were famous, and like one of the good famous, particularly, that's a weird thing to say, right? If you're one of the good famous, you can just be a bro in front of everyone forever. You know what I mean? I think that's why, love them or hate, I don't know. I don't want to name names, because then it opens me up to controversy, right? I don't want that. I don't want that either, right? I want to fucking just be a no-name motherfucker talking to maybe like 500 people who really feel like they get it. And then we'll go from there. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's enough said about that, I think. So overall, why do I think they're so unhappy? I think it's because of all the bullshit that gets in the way. I think it's so hard to live your life dealing with some of the bullshit that accompanies some of these higher stake ways of living, more open in front of people ways of living. I think it's really hard to navigate it. It's just like takes a certain type of demeanor or talent or understanding, or maybe just support group. And we all come from vastly different spawn points. This is kind of the fascinating thing about life. And this is why I find empathizing with people in their situations to be so much, I almost feel like I get to assume their position. This is kind of a concept I really want to talk about in depth, of this idea of, understanding the universe, like understanding every point of view and feeling that there was some value in it. This is kind of something that is almost a core religious or spiritual understanding for me, is like that every time I suffer a certain way, everybody is suffering with me, and it kind of takes the pressure off of it, because I know I'm probably not the first human to ever, have that experience, to be alone, to do a drug and to have a certain reaction, to, have a certain type of victory, fall in love, place a smart strategic bet and have it pay off. Whatever it is that you've gone through, and the losses too. But that's why I don't bet that often. I only bet on like fucking certainties. And myself is also something I want to instill. Is I think that you can bet on yourself and it be a certainty. You can build a plan with 100% certainty if you're strategic and smart enough. I think faith goes a long way, but I like to add structure to it. I'm fascinated with the idea of increasing the amount of structure. And I feel like this is why this is gonna be maybe more ranty than it's supposed to be. But let's talk about why I think that certain content even blows up on social media in the first place. I think a lot of it is the fucking dopamine rush of snappy editing. Like the people who make the videos now, they really know how to fucking make it pop and snap. And, we actually are a little bit too overstimulated to even know what's good for us anymore. And so you can't find good stuff because mostly you would turn the phone off and pick up a book instead, if we're being completely honest. If you were out there and you're hearing this and it's supposed to be some sort of therapy for you, I encourage you to keep listening because I do think that if you keep listening, that you'll learn some things that are going to help you. That's all I can say about it for now. But yeah, I do think that's personally why I make videos in the first place. When I compare myself to, I'm nothing like, some of these super talented people on social media. I really do just feel like just a regular guy who had a really niche thing to do, and that was it. And, anyway, that's it. I didn't have anything else to think about other than make a certain goal come true and then not know what the fuck to do with it. You know what I mean? That's my whole life story, and it's not a really interesting one. But anyway. But there are so many people who are making a lot of super interesting content. And mostly what editors do is they're the people who are good at the digital side of this, and they know what resonates, and they just take somebody's message and snip it up, add some music and, Vine bang sounds or whatever. And somehow it becomes so addictive to watch that, they can just post random shit all day. If they watch the video, they're like, oh, you can edit. That's probably how they actually do it, right? How else would you do it? You just fucking doom scroll, be like, oh, Asmon's new video, snip it up, send it on its way, and then there you go. You can print money if your game is social media. This is an underrated new thing. This is kind of doomy though. When I think about it, now that I'm actually saying it out loud, this is a very doomy idea of your dream job being a fucking TikTok editor. You know what I mean? That's all. It's not, but again, it's not fucking, it could be, assembling shit at the factory. You know what I mean? It could. And if it pays really good, then it definitely does. I kind of discovered this when I started. I'm not going to, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about this too much, but there are so many ways to make money. I saw a video just today where a guy was like, this is the couch. I'm going to sell this couch. You know how much I paid? $0. I picked it up on the curb on Facebook. And this is a real business certain people are doing. It's so smart. It's ingenious. They pay nothing other than gas, and they get to make money by doing a little bit of scrubbing. And this is how you get ahead on this one particular category of life. I did it a very boring, fucking methodical, foolproof way. It's fucking the normal, it's the bobble, what is it? Is it bobblehead? No, who the fuck? Oh shit. I can't remember it, but if you know it, you know what I mean. But, I'm going to pause. Hold on. No, I'm not going to pause because it's really annoying to snip these together, and I hate editing. This is why I'm so bad at it. But the point is, if you find it easy, go ahead and edit videos together, and then you could literally make a faceless account and make a lot of money. To have a different type of talent, which is compel people to listen to you, it's very hard to do it, actually, I think. I can definitely, I've proven it fucking actively. But the point is, if that's what you want to do most in life, eventually you're probably going to get good at it. And that's what performers found out. They must have been finding it out early, whenever I think about Bo Burnham and why I find his content so fascinating. I was watching his last special, Make Happy, because again, he's another guy that has this trend, which we're talking about, is He's performing at the highest level of his, particular art, and I do think that basically Bo performs at the highest level, but he might not be the best, but he performs at the highest level, I think, is how I would describe Bo Burnham. He is a perfectionist beyond measure. He can play, sing, dance, act, write, direct. He literally crafts, to a large extent, these shows. Of course, he does have help, and I think this help is a lot of, what made him, I don't know. That was kind of his rock, hopefully, in some of these times of creation, but he is so talented in the way he fabricates these shows, and I feel like I love Dave Chappelle, but him walking out there and saying his thoughts in a funny way, it's just like he's the best at that. That's what I'm saying. I think Dave Chappelle is the funniest comedian for me personally. I have watched Dave Chappelle since like I understood what anything funny was. I think I was like watching Dave Chappelle. If it was before that, I think the only thing I could even describe is like before that would be like an Ego Raptor video on YouTube or some shit. But like Dave Chappelle, no, he was definitely before all that too. So yeah, he was. The point is this is the best comedian of all time, in my opinion, because he's just a genius who's examining the world and giving you the funniest examinations of it ever. No matter whether you're watching his shows or his specials, he examines the world and tells you the truth of it. And makes you die while you're doing it. It's the best. I fucking love Dave because he makes you think, and he's just unspeakably funny. And he just doesn't pull the punches. And he's never really pulled the punches. He's always just said, "This is why it's so funny. I fucking forbid you from not hearing what God has told me to tell you." Or whatever fucking, you know what I mean? He got that joke from God, I think, and he has no choice but to tell you. Otherwise, it's blasphemy, right? He has to make you laugh saying that crazy shit. And I just love it. Anyway, but Dave, I think, is pretty happy. And I think that this is a part of it. So while we're on the topic of, why do so many people tend to be unhappy, we can also acknowledge that I think there's plenty of people who are crazy happy doing what they do. Because again, I think that mostly it doesn't, and even if it does come down to being famous, somebody out there surely is addicted to being famous. They want to be famous. They want to be dramatic in front of everybody and, decide that I'm going to make premeditated decisions that will only serve to fuel drama. I do think there are people out there who really live like that. I don't like that. I would never want to be part of that. But I do think that people out there who actually strategically think about what is the next scandal that I would want to be involved in. It's just like, I don't know. But most of the time, I think most of the people gravitate towards a particular thing and, they become a creator of it, an artist within that thing. Now it can be so many things. Like a week ago, I saw some girl who knits and makes her own clothing, and she's now immediately, Brad Pitt. You know what I mean? It's like it's interesting, And I think that it's possible that how you get onto this is going to kind of determine some of the outcomes. But like she's just a really creative person who basically found immediately her crowd, and it's a very big crowd. And so I'm sure that's going to be pretty fruitful, in that it'll probably, hopefully, never be toxic for her, right? It could be a very, it's about a particular thing. You can really focus on that thing, reap all the reward, but kind of keep a little bit of your personal life at arms, depending on how you use the content. But depending on what you're pulled to do, like I really feel a pull to like try and teach and examine very in-depth and thoughtfully. Like that is what I suppose my content is. At some point, you're probably going to want to talk to, I don't know. At some point, somebody will probably ask a question, or I will, say something that I think maybe that probably is just dumb. Frankly, I've probably said plenty of that by now. And like, who knows, right? If I just keep posting these videos, I feel like it's inevitable that there won't be ever somebody who says an unnice thing, right? And how am I going to handle it? And that's my idea is like, what if like I start that, and because I'm such an antisocial fuck, I will immediately regret my entire life's decision, and the videos can't be unposted. And like now I'm like a pariah, but I'm basically already a pariah. So that's why I just say, fuck it. I'm going to do this shit anyway. So anyway, why are people unhappy? I think mostly it comes down to how they're thinking. And I kind of want to talk more about that idea, but not right now. Like it's really how you process information and what decisions you make next that determine where you go from here. And I want to show you how you can do that.